It's an amazing thing that we're witnessing at the Capitol. We're going to build on that by convening this session of the People's Legislature and keep working toward getting the Capitol back to the point where we can have the voices of ordinary citizens heard there every day.
We have to take care of our disabled. We have to take care of our seniors. We have to take care of our teachers. We have to take care of our kids. We have to take care of one another, because what we have in commitment and love for one another is what they treat as weakness. I don't see it as weakness at all. I see it as a commitment to public service.
This bill is not about balancing the budget. This bill isn't even about getting rid of collective bargaining. This bill is about eviscerating public sector unions in the United States of America, and it is wrong. This is a governor who has stated out loud that it was okay for him to consider bringing thugs into the rallies at the Capitol. To think of an incumbent governor sworn to uphold the law of the state of Wisconsin doing something, considering doing something to advocate violence is just, I think, obscene. I think it's impeachable.
It's absolutely true that you have established here some kind of bedrock from which all of this sprang. And our mission, I think, in the national media is to try to bring back the word and bring back some of the models that you have built up of both independent media and people coming together, meeting face to face, hand to hand. Nothing replaces that. You really set up a situation here where the first big, worst mistake Scott Walker made was to pick this fight in Madison.
We have seen Democrats, often people who are so very disappointing, de-link from the compromises of the National Democratic Party and link in to the demands of the people of Wisconsin, to the progressive grassroots of this state, and become something that the founders intended, our elected representatives. And they have been absolute heroes in this struggle. One of the most lost stories of that assembly vote the other day, one of the most lost stories, was the fact that four Republicans crossed over and voted with the Democrats in opposition to this bill. Rural Republicans, some elected with Tea Party support, new legislators, not just old-timers, voted on our side of this struggle. These four Republicans that voted with us did so at incredible risk. They had all taken calls personally from the governor. They had all been pressured by the David Kochs, by all of the national power, and they broke to stand with us. This is very important to remember as you go back and talk to your friends. We now have bipartisan opposition to this bill. We have bipartisan opposition to this bill.
What has happened over the course of the last 30 years is we've watched jobs shipped overseas, and we've watched more and more tax breaks for the wealthy and more cuts for everybody else. And we now can say that 12,000 people in this country earned more in the last decade than another 20 million Americans combined. 12,000 people make more than 20 million. And we know that over the course of the last 30 years, the gap between the richest 1% in our society and everybody else has tripled. Now, where I come from, what they have done is they have just dug us a deeper and deeper hole. The jobs vanish, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, the middle class increasingly disappears. We have seen them dig us a hole that is deeper and deeper and deeper. And where I come from, if you've dug yourself a hole, at some point you just got to stop digging. And what have they told us? What has Scott Walker and what has his allies in the legislature told us? They said, you got to keep shoveling. We got to have more tax breaks for corporations. We got to have more cuts for health care for the poor, and we got to take away more school aid, and we got to, oh, by the way, more tax cuts for the rich and for the corporations. You got to keep on shoveling. Well, where the hell has been a president who stands up and challenges that digging? And where the hell has been a Congress? Where is the Congress standing up and saying we will not dig that hole no more? Where is a candidate for governor who will say, we ain't gonna dig your hole no more. If we don't have those voices in Washington and Madison, then we gotta come in places like this and we gotta decide that we're gonna say, that we're gonna stand up and we're gonna take 100,000 people to the Capitol, and what we are effectively gonna say is we ain't gonna dig your hole no more.
I hope we go on from here with a good deal of education. This is, Ed, this is the missing component. We've gotten people out into the streets, but we saw this in the 60s as we grew with tremendous numbers, particularly in the period from 1967 through 1968. We were missing the education component. We weren't driving deep enough to keep a long and sustained commitment. We have to do more than march around the square. We have to make sure we understand our labor history, our collective bargaining history, and we coalesce around those two values we all share. And those are fairness and trust. Thanks.